Hey guys, welcome back to the shop. Welcome back to Worth Guitars. Before we get started today on all of the projects that we got going on in here, I want to get back on the acoustic guitar. I need to put a nice coat of shellac on it so we can start taping the binding on. But we'll get to that in a minute. Before we do that though, I just want to say thank you very much for subscribing and hitting the like button like you guys have been doing. As of today, as of this video, we now have 1,020 subscribers, the mighty 1,020. So thanks guys, I really appreciate that, man. It does, it's good for the old heart, you know what I mean? Thank you very much. It's crazy, but it's good. All right, so let's get back to work, all right? By the way, hit the like button, remember that. Okay, so now we got a ton of projects going on, and I want to share some of that with you guys before we get into the acoustic build that you've been following along with. We have this really pretty little, what I call an ancestor. This is our little nod to the LP Juniors. This is an ancestor in all mahogany with a nice little rosewood cap. You probably saw that little shorts video. I don't know if I shared it on YouTube or not. But anyway, in mahogany. This is what we call an ancestor. Sweet little guitar. I like to do them with a tobacco sunburst when I can. This one's just going to be all natural mahogany, which is always beautiful. Anyway, mahogany's very pretty, you know, whether you stain it or not, like this. This is mahogany. This is a Evo bass. One of our Evo basses. This is all African mahogany. Can you see that good? Let me make sure that I'm over here where you can see it. All right. Isn't that pretty? Just mahogany. That's just clear nitro on top of it. Beautiful stuff. So we got that going. The neck is over here. That still needs to be wet sanded and polished. And I'm using a stringed instrument lacquer made by Mohawk. This stuff right here. If you're ever wondering about the nitro that I use this. And sometimes I use a nitro called, that's made by Cardinal Paints. But I tell you, I really like this. They've got this figured out. It dries harder. It's a little bit harder than most lacquers, and I like it a lot. Mohawk. Good stuff. And let's see, we got this one here. This is our Swamp Ash Celine. Very pretty little build. And the Muerta, Los Muertos. Am I saying that correct? Los Muertos. The Sonic lady here. She's very pretty. This build has been a tough one. That was hard to do. I'll tell you what. My beautiful wife, Anna, made this decal. Not decal, a template, I should say. And we put the template on and then sprayed with an airbrush very lightly some very dense black thin lacquer. But then you have to come back and you have to peel away all of the parts that you don't want on there, the stencil that's left. And you get a really pretty job when it's done, but man, it's very tedious and very intense, and it's very easy to damage anything around it. So this was a learning curve, this guitar, but I'm very happy with the way it turned out. It was very tedious, and man, I damaged the lacquer one time, had to go back and redo it. But that happens when you're trying things that you haven't done before, you know? Good looking stuff though. And, hang on, let me hang this back up. So I got these in here just kind of curing. And I'm still working on the build for the Pink Ride, breast cancer awareness, and I'm going to get this one painted this week, I hope, and then it's ready for assembly. Still got to do a little bit of sanding, but then it'll be painted pink, of course, and Tone Pro bridge, one pickup, and this is a cool little guitar. I like the way it turned out. Pretty sweet little guitar. So we're working on that too. Let me get this one out of the way, actually. And one last thing before we move on. Speaking of the Sonic Blue, A couple of videos back, I used recommended a lacquer called Nitor Lac that I found through All Parts. It's good, but this is better. This holds up better. It has more pigment in it. It's I'm not exactly sure how to describe it, but it comes out thicker, I guess is the best way to say it. Lays down smoother and is easier to sand, so you don't sand through. If that makes any sense, okay? Because it's very easy to sand through a finish, and you don't want to do that. So this is really what I would recommend instead of the Nitor Lac. If you're looking to do a color like that Sonic Blue, this works really well. Lays down really nice. And if you're only going to do 1 or 2 painted guitars like that, this is a great way to do it. And you know, you put the clear coat over it anyway, so this is good stuff right here. So I changed my mind on that. Right? Okay. So, getting back to one more thing. Let me show you this. I'm going to show you this abalone on here when you put clear coat on it. And that's pretty, isn't it? The inlay. The colors in it. That's something, isn't it? Very pretty. Love that abalone. Okay, that's enough of that. Let's get back to the acoustic build. So the last time we worked on the acoustic build, we cut the rabbet for the binding. Today, I want to get set up to put the binding on. And one reason why it takes me forever to do an acoustic build like this is because I do this kind of like what I would consider on my own time. These other builds are more important as far as that goes because that one isn't owned by anyone. That one's mine. And I'm trying to get the Pink Ride guitar done. I'm trying to get Scott Hanford's guitar done. You know, he's patiently waiting. It was supposed to be done in August. We almost made it to August. We're a little into September, obviously, but we're getting it done. And Scott has been very patient, and I appreciate that. So that's kind of more important. That's why it takes forever for us to do an acoustic build. But we're back to it. So like I was saying, last time we cut the rabbet or the rebate around the outside of the body. And now we need to put the binding on. And to put the binding on, especially on this spruce, you need to seal the top first, because if you don't, the tape will actually peel grain away on spruce because it's so soft. And the tape is very hard. The sticky part of it is very sticky. So we're going to do just a single layer of binding, no purfling in there, because I didn't put purfling around this. So I'm going to get this sanded, and we're going to put some shellac on it. And then we can start measuring and cutting the binding for the top and the back and getting that together. All right, so that's what we need to do today. So let me get set up to do that, and we'll be right back, okay? Hang tight. Thanks again, guys. Okay, so before we can do anything, we got to sand. Got to do a little sanding. And I'm just going to take some 400 grit just to knock whatever little, you know, dirt or whatever, fingerprints and oil and stuff off of here. And then I'm just going to put a light coat of this shellac, this clear shellac made by Zinsser. And of course you can mix up your own shellac flakes and all that and make, you know, really nice stuff using flakes and alcohol. And I have done that. But I find this works really well for just doing this. This isn't going to be our final finish. We're going to put a polyurethane finish on top of this. A two-part poly that dries real hard. We're going to try that out on this acoustic guitar. So this is really all I'm going to be doing is just sealing this top so that when I tape down to it, I don't damage the spruce peeling the tape back off. You know, and then I'm just going to sand this basically right back off. It's just a simple one coat thing. And so that's why I'm using this kind of cheap stuff here. It works great for just doing sealing. Actually works really well for just sealing under lacquer as well. You can use this brush on seal anything like furniture for sanding sealer, or you can use sanding sealer obviously. But this works well because you can get it also in like an amber color And so it gives you a nice amber aged color on top of your wood. Looks nice, all right? Anyway, so you can use it for anything, furniture and that kind of stuff. So what we want to do now though is just put a nice quick sand on this. Like I use this on the inside of acoustic guitars, just to seal the wood up a little bit. Works great for that. And you know, when I started this channel, this isn't like an educational show or anything. You know, there are many guys out there that build guitars. Really what I wanted to do is just kind of share Worth Guitars with you guys out there and what we do and, you know, some of how we do it and that kind of thing. But more than anything, just to kind of share what we do with YouTube, with the world, so to speak, right? So there's a number of different ways to do anything, obviously. And some of the things I do work pretty well. Some things don't. When they don't, I will let you know. But this seems to work pretty good. Let's get this sanded first. Some 400 grit. I'm going to get this done. And then we got to get set up. Got a nice cookout going on today. Got some crabs coming. Looking forward to that. Nice blue crabs. And then we got to go around here and get the fuzz off on the edges. That fuzz we got to get out of there. Let me get you over a little closer. The little fuzzy stuff, we got to get rid of that. So we'll take this and go around. Try and knock that off of there. That's hard to get off, because you don't want to roll that edge at all. You want that to be a nice crisp edge when we put the binding against it. The Tenacious Fuzz. That'd be a good name for a band. Tenacious Fuzz. Okay, that looks good. Let's get a little shellac on it. Okay. So, one of these days I'm going to set myself up a roll of craft paper in here that I can just go over and tear off a piece for doing stuff like this, so I don't make a mess. Get this a little stir here. All right, let's put a nice thin coat of this shellac on here. Don't want to drip over the edge. Just a nice coat is all we want. Look how it brings out the color in this spruce. Something else this does for you as well, once you do this little seal coat like this, it'll show you where all the defects are. Any little glue and stuff like that. Any little dots of glue you got on there that you can't really see that well, this will show you where it's at. And it'll give you a good opportunity to fix it before you put your final coats on there. Like there's a little tiny spot right there I need to fix. Any kind of little dents or scratches will show up very nicely when you put this on there. That's a very pretty spruce. I have two more pieces of this. I have some Brazilian rosewood that I bought from a friend who's no longer with us, God rest his soul, probably 35 years ago. And I kept telling myself, one day I'm going to build a guitar out of this. So I'm almost there. That guitar is on the horizon. And I'm going to use some more of this spruce on it. I really love the color of it. Okay, nice coat of shellac. Isn't that pretty? Very pretty, pretty, pretty. All right, let's let that dry. And it'll dry almost instantly. This stuff dries in like 2 minutes, it seems like. It's, alcohol in it, and alcohol evaporates very quickly. Let's see here. Let me see if I can tell you how fast. 1 hour before lightly sanding. And it dries even faster than that. They tell you to wait an hour. So we'll wait around a little while. We'll hit it with some light sanding again. Actually, I don't even need to do that because I'm just going to be sticking tape on it anyway. So we'll just let that set up a little bit. And we'll come back, and in the meantime, actually while I'm waiting for that to dry, I'll measure off the binding and make a few cuts so that we can get started putting the binding on. All right, so I'll be right back. Let me get set up to do that. Hang on. So it occurred to me while I was cleaning my brush that we haven't done an end cap. I have to do that before I put the binding on. So I'm going to let this dry a little further, and in the meantime, I'm going to get set up to do that. I need to mill a piece of wood. I'm just going to do ebony. I have some ebony left over from another project. We're going to let that dry. I'm going to mill up a piece of ebony, and if you look very closely at this binding we have here, take a little piece of razor blade and scrape it a little so you can see it better, because it darkens up a bit when you bend it. It gets wet and hot, and it kind of darkens it up, but there's a white edge around the side. A white edge. It's a very subtle white. So it'll be a very subtle white, black, white strip around the bottom edge of this binding on the sides. Not doing it on the top because I didn't do it around the rosette. So I thought it would be inconsistent in my view. So I do have some though that we can use for the end cap so that when we come around to this, we can miter it and butt into it and go around like that. Does that make sense? You'll see when we do it. So we're not quite ready for the binding yet. As much as I would really like to put the binding on, I'm not, excuse me, I'm not ready for it yet. It's kind of what happens when you have a side project you're doing. You don't have it in the front of your mind all the time, so things kind of get forgotten about. But that's all right. We're going to get that done today instead. You know, I don't want this to run too long, so we're just going to try to do this real fast. Get this cut. While that's drying, we can get this laid out. I just use this jig here all the time. It has that shape to it with a router bit. And we'll route the bottom end out, and we'll mill this up real quick. And that's about all the time we have for today. So let me do a little bit of that, and we'll keep recording for a while and see how much we can get done. I try not to go over about 30, 40 minutes because it's a long watch. And I know you got stuff to do, right? So anyway, let's get to it. Off we go. Okay, let's mill a piece of ebony up right quick. Right. There you go. Two nice pieces of ebony there. That's perfect. End caps of the future. All right, let's get this sanded up. Let's do one for now. Okay, so we got that milled up. Hold on one second, let me double check something. I wanted to make sure I turned the camera on. Sometimes I forget to do stuff like that. Okay, so we got that milled up. That's good. That's progress. We may have run out of time for today. I don't know. Let's see what else we can get done. So we've got this milled to 0.090, which is the thickness of the binding. The binding is 0.089, but you know, what's 10,000ths of an inch? Between friends, right? So we'll set that aside for the moment. And what I want to do is I want to set this up. This is ready to go so that when we get our slot cut, our dado cut on the end of the guitar, we have this piece ready. Is this dry enough to work with? Let's see. Actually, yes, that feels good. That's good. So what I want to do is get this on here like this, carefully, and lined up in the center so that we can cut that shape and make our heel cap. All right? So that's what I'm going to do right now. So hang tight. I got to get a router and get it set up. Let's get this thing set up. That's probably going to be all we can get done today. Then we'll do a little short video of making the end cap and all that's involved in that. It's amazing how much work is involved in just doing an end cap. Acoustic guitars are a lot of work, but they're very rewarding. And I can't wait to get this one done because I want to play it really bad. Okay, that's got a good grip on it. All right. We want it to go this way. Like that. That's what we're looking for. Right about like that. So I need to fill that in so I can clamp. And that looks good. All right. Let's see, what can I use to fill that in with? One piece there. Just like that. Just like that. Right. This is good. Put a little clamp on it just to hold it in place for us so it doesn't slip. Let's move this around like this so we're not fighting the clamp. Okay, I think we're good. See if I can get you a really super up close up view on this here. Hold on 1 minute. All right, I think that's it. Let's do it. That's good. So let me get you back over here where you can see it. That's what we did. All right. One day, I'm going to get a camera guy to come in here and help film stuff like that. You can get down there and get the close-ups and stuff, you know, that I'm not capable of doing yet. Maybe someday down the road. But what we did was, our shims out. Take that off. Clean it up just a bit. I'll move you back over here. Give you a better view of what we did. Grab a hold of this, turn this pump off, and we cut this right here for our end cap. See that? Now, it cut a little deeper here than it did there. I'm not sure why. I guess it wasn't sitting quite flat on there. But what I'm going to do is just do that by hand to finish that cutout, rather than try and make the router cut deeper and take the chance of messing up that edge where the binding comes through. We're not going to do that. We're just going to do that by hand, and we'll get that piece on there, and then we'll make that little end cap out of this ebony. All right, and that'll match the binding going around the outside. Whew, but that's all we have time for today, guys. Thank you for watching, man. Thank you for hanging in there with us. And thank you very much for, just being a part of Worth Guitars, all right? Remember to hit the like and subscribe button if you haven't already. If you have, you rock. We'll see you out there somewhere. Get out there and see some bands. Go see some bands, right? Go see some bands. We'll see you. Bye now. Worth Guitars.